What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to kick things off with a look at a newly released mobile game called Pokemon Quest. Now, even though this game hasn't been out for a very long time, it has absolutely taken the world by storm, and people are loving it. There's a lot of addiction to this game already, and I'm guessing part of that reason is obviously because Pokemon is so popular, and we all love Pokemon. Well, I know I do, and a lot of people out there do. But you know, it sort of takes on the genre of a lot of classic mobile games at the moment, where you've kind of got that top-down RPG beat-em-up style game, but I think what makes it super popular and what makes it so addictive is because it uses those classic Pokemon components. We're talking your Pokedex, and obviously one of your priority goals within this game is to fill in that Pokedex, and your actual Pokemon have your standard stuff that all the other Pokemon games have. So you've got your evolutions and a leveling system. All your Pokemons have elements for the fights, so we're talking things like fire, water, bug, grass, psychic, all that kind of stuff. And the Pokemon that you get throughout the game also have moves attached to them as well, just like all the other Pokemon games with the moves. And Pokemon Go specifically, you're kind of trying to catch Pokemon with specific moves because they fight better. Same too with the Pokemon Quest game. Now I'm going to just show you some Pokedex information so you can have a look at how the Pokemon fill in there, and they use this really cute icon style, which I actually think is really cool. But it's the classic numbering system, and it's only the first 150 Pokemon. But as you can see, if I show you the Pokemon here, it's kind of that top-down view. You can move around the map, but you can't really sort of zoom in. You can't pinch and sort of expand and zoom in a little bit more, but that's what the Pokemon look like. They've kind of taken that Minecraft sort of pixelated style and smoothed it out a little bit, and it is cute, and it does make it sort of an arcade-ish sort of look to it. So we'll go back into the Pokedex, and I'll just flick over some of the pages so you can have a look at some of the ones I've collected. Now, I've only really played this for a couple of days, and this is sort of what it looks like a couple of days in. And I've seen people around who have already accomplished most of the game, and they've got level 100 Pokemon, and it's just ridiculous. But a large element to this game is obviously you're going to want to fill this Pokedex, and you want to get those rarer Pokemon so that you can use them within the actual fighting aspect of the game on the stages. So that's your Pokedex, and that's how that fills out. And if you actually have a look at your teams, and to the right you'll see a box that actually holds different components, and I'll go through that in just a minute. But to the left you've got your Pokemon with their growth ability. To the top here you've got your different moves. So Lapras has Aqua Ring and Icy Wind, and by the way, if you do get Lapras in this game, I highly recommend him. He's really tanky, has a self-heal that's fantastic. Well, if you get Aqua Ring, that is. And to the right of these moves are stones, and these particular stones, which I'll go through a little bit more, are called Power Charms, and they just change the effect of the ability just that little bit. So I've added a weightless stone, and what that does is it lowers the cooldown on that, and I've done that to both of those for Lapras. And to the bottom here where I'm pressing on these stones are more based on stats. So each of these 9 cubes will eventually open up as I level up my Pokemon, and each of those will either have a health or an attacking stat. And if you get a higher rarity stat, it'll not only just have, where it says in the top there, attack 246, this one's a gold standard one, so it actually has 3 extra statistics attached to it, so it's a better rarity there. And if I show you another way, you can just remove all of those, and you can cycle through what you've got in your box, and obviously the box will require expanding over time as you level up your Pokemon. You require to hold more of these, but you can also recycle those stones, and I'll show that a little bit later on as well. And you just simply drag them over like that, and if I wanted to go with this one because I like the statistics better, I could do that, but I kind of like having 256 there. And if I change Pokemon, I'll show you what the health ones will look like, and obviously that's not a good call, that's a lower level Pokemon. Here you go. So this is my War Turtle, and obviously I started with a Bulbasaur to get to War Turtle, and it's the same sort of level timing as you would see in the Pokemon games, so they will evolve around about the same level that you see in your classic Game Boy games. And here's your health ones. These are called Sturdy Stones, and they just give you HP, but again, if I had higher rarity ones, like you would probably see here, it would have another statistic attached to it, or anywhere up to 3. And the stats on the top there show your HP and your attack and your level, and they all accumulate power, and they've got like a power standard. And if you look at the actual team, if I go to change the team, it says just above the 3 Pokemon I've got there, 4,462. So you obviously want to pay attention to that number when you're going into different missions, and you know, you want to also pay attention to the elements, and I'll show you the expeditions right now. So moving into the expeditions, and I like the way they've got this set up, and again it's sort of a Minecraft look looking down, and each of these Pokeballs that you see here are different worlds that I have completed. Okay, so just, it's kind of got that Mario Brothers feel to it, where you've got a world and then you've got stages within that world, and at the end you've also got boss fights there too. The number that you see in the box there is your recommended team power, and because this is only the first world, obviously your team power doesn't need to be too high, so I'll be able to absolutely clear this with ease. And they've also got in each world a different bonus type. So this says bonus type fighting, and if I had a fighting Pokemon in my team, I would get a bonus statistic in terms of how strong my team is, because the enemies I'll come across are weak to fighting. That little ring that you see there next to where it says first step indicates the type of materials that you'll get out of completing these missions, and this is obviously to create that sort of farmability, and the ingredients are really important in the game, and I'll show you that when I show you the cooking element of the game. But I'll just show you the this bonus. So this is world number 6, and as you can see the number is legitimately a lot higher. Stage 6-4 actually says I should have 4,800 power. Now without the bonus I've got 4,462, but because I've got Scyther in there, who is a bug type Pokemon, I get an extra 659 team power, because that's essentially how much stronger my team should be taking a bug type in there. So overall I should be able to accomplish 6-4 with the Scyther in my team there. And looking at the ring there, you see that most of that ring is yellow, which means that if you want some of the yellow components or ingredients for cooking, then you would probably farm this one for that as well. And that's how those expeditions go. Those are your worlds. Now when you complete these stages, you'll get XP, you'll get ingredients, you'll get charms, and you'll get stones sometimes as well. And the rarity does differ depending on how far you're going, and obviously you get higher stats from the stones when you actually accomplish a higher stage. And to the top left corner where it says expedition bonus, the more stages you do, the more that fills up, and when it gets right to the end, it guarantees the next one you finish will drop a gold rarity stone, and that'll have all the extra stats that you're looking for. So I'm just going to show you how the actual gameplay works by jumping into one of these missions, and I'm just going to do an easy one to make it really fast. Let's see here. I've got a water Pokemon, so that should be alright. I'm just going to do a low one so it will go a little bit faster. Now as you jump into the game, like I said, it's fairly automated, and some people actually complain about this, some people really enjoy it. I know in the modern era of mobile games, auto playability is something that's extremely important, because people are busy, they like to do things in the background per se, and when games are really farmable, and you've always got to be prepared, and you've always got to have your hands on, then obviously it can be tiresome over some time. For me, the fact that you can switch it off and on, and I'll do that right now for you to show you. So I just switched off the auto. The only thing that's going to auto play now is them moving around, and they're going to go towards the next Pokemon. But I actually have to choose when to use the move, and I just chose Scyther's move there. You know, so you'll see the moves cooling down the bottom, so you'll see Scythers are cooling down right now, and if I choose to, I can buff my team with Scyther's ability right now, and if I chose to with Wartortle, I can use the Whirlpool move. And Scyther's dying easy, by the way, because he's quite a low Pokemon and I'm still trying to level him up. But that'll give you the idea of what's going on in the fight. And right at the end, as you see here, at the end of every stage, there is a boss fight. And I think just given the level of my Wartortle and my Lapras, I don't think I'm going to have an issue in this fight. But over time, you'll see Scyther's little image there in the bottom. It's got a timer when you faint, and then you come back after the fainting. So they do eventually come back into the fight. They don't come back with full health, because I think that would be overkill, but they do come back with a little bit of health to help out. And then, sometimes you can use tactics to sort of stay out of fighting. The button on the right hand side here, if I press it, I'll show you, they run away from the fight for a little bit and then they run back in. And so that's a good way to sort of slow down the combat if you're waiting on another Pokemon to come back. I'll just set it back to auto until he finishes. And that's the end of the boss fight in this stage. So despite the fact that one of my Pokemon is fainted, I'll still get XP for that Pokemon. So he's just leveled up from 15 to 16. And eventually the little squares that don't have stones in them at the moment fill up, and you'll open up more and more squares as you level up. And based on the level that I got there, on the right are the ingredients that I've picked up from completing that stage, and on the left is a stone that I picked up, an extra 168 health, which is a little bit low for me. I probably will get rid of that, but that just gives you the idea of what happens when you complete a stage. And the other thing that happens when you complete a stage, and this moves us on to the next part of what Pokemon Quest is all about, and I'll just go back to the base camp. And by the way, this is the base camp. Base camp has a lot of different elements to it, but essentially it's just like almost like a stage building sort of part of the game. It's not as major as you see with a lot of games out there where you've got to build different buildings. They do a whole heap of different things, but it's a little bit about decorations and these things here called cooking pots. And so the icon on top of these cooking pots indicates that those recipes that I was cooking with are ready. Now with cooking, cooking is your only way to obtain new Pokemon. So this is a major part of the game, and it's all about the different recipes and the ingredients that you're putting in those recipes that bring the different Pokemon to you and add to the team. Now you will get doubles and triples of Pokemon, and you can use those Pokemon to train and level up your higher Pokemon, but eventually you've got to use the recipes to your advantage to get the Pokemon that you need, either for your Pokedex or an elemental type of Pokemon that you would require in order to defeat a stage that you might be having difficulty with. So I'm just going to press on one of these pots because it's ready, and it'll open up and it'll tell you the recipe that you did. So yellow curry a la cube, and on the left it says the ingredients, but it doesn't give you specific information for the ingredients. And so it's really interesting the way this is, but if you're anything like me, you'll research it and you'll find out what it all means before you really waste too much time figuring it out. If you want to play this game the way it's supposed to be played, you will learn the recipes as you go and you'll learn what all the words actually mean. So in the ingredients, a whole lot, it just indicates how much of that ingredient, and there's a lot, a whole lot, and there's a lot of different ways to describe how many pieces of that ingredient. And yellow is just obviously one of the descriptive words for the ingredients, and there are a couple of different yellow ingredients that you can put in. And on the right it tells you what type of Pokemon are attracted to that recipe. So this one says it's a favorite food for yellowish Pokemon. So I can expect now when I press close a yellow Pokemon to arrive, or something in the yellow sort of area. So I'll press close and give this little animation. I've actually got two Pokemon, which is awesome, and I think they're two good ones, which is even better. There you go. So I got Pikachu, which I've already got, but that's okay. He's a level 13 and I can probably use that to train up a higher level Pikachu. And I got, once I press on it, I've got to move it out. And I've got the Ponyta, and you can have a look at the moves. Flame Charge, great move, and Stomp. And you can see that Stomp doesn't have any extra slots for stones, but Flame Charge has 2 slots for stones. And the little coloured dots indicates what colour stone that I can put in there to change that move. You can imagine Flame Charge, if I wanted to make it so that you could use it twice or lower the cooldown, I could do all of those different things there. And it says here Ponyta's a level 13, 117 health, 122 attack. And it just says on the bottom that he became my buddy, and he'll go into my list of Pokemon here. That's the wrong one. I need to press the team button. Here, edit team. And the ones with the exclamation marks are my new guys. There's my Ponyta, and there's my Pikachu. Funnily, that's actually my highest level Pikachu. So it's a good idea, I would say, not to get too attached to your first Pokemon, because as you move on and as you learn the recipes, you will get higher graded pots, and you'll be putting more ingredients in there, which essentially will give you higher level Pokemon. So, you know, tossing lower level Pokemon into your higher level Pokemon, especially if it's the same Pokemon, is advantageous because you can expect to consistently get high level Pokemon as you progress through the game. Now, if I want to cook something, I will show you how the cooking works. And on the top here, above the ingredients, are a list of the recipes that you have discovered. Now, I've discovered all of them but one, and I know what that last one is. I just haven't got any of those ingredients for that yet. And as you move on, and you can go through what it says, and it's just like the recipe I showed you earlier. So a few of something, a whole lot of something else, and it just has those vague descriptions, which obviously you'll learn a little bit about what they mean as you play through. And they all attract different type of Pokemon. So, you know, some of them are very specific. This is psychic only, rock type, flying type, and some of them are more vague in terms of what you're going to get. And those are mostly the color ones. So gray-ish Pokemon, yellow-ish Pokemon, blue-ish Pokemon. But knowing what sort of Pokemon come out of these, or if you know your Pokemon well enough, I think these is a good way to distinctly go for a particular type of Pokemon. And if there's a lot of red Pokemon, for example, and the one you want is a red fire type Pokemon, but there aren't so many fire, then maybe you're better off farming for that type of Pokemon that you're after in the fire ingredients, and using those ingredients to see what Pokemon come about. So on the left, where the cooking pot is, if I can actually just drag things over to that cooking pot and I can cook it. Above those ingredients it says ingredients amount 3, which means every time I pop something in one of those boxes, it'll take 3 out of my ingredients box. Down the bottom here where it's got the little refresh button, if I press it, it'll move the pot into the next level. So that was your basic pot, and then I move up into the bronze pot, which takes 10 instead of 3 of each ingredient when I put it in there. If I move this is honey. If I move this over, it'll instantly take all of my honey because it's 10 per slot. And then the first recipe, this is the one you see here, Mulligan Stew, is actually it's the recipe that basically says if what you're putting in this pot doesn't match up to one of the other recipes, then it will randomize the Pokemon that comes to you. Okay, so if you're feeling like you want to try a lucky dip, then that's a good way to go. Otherwise, I would use the specific recipes to your advantage, and you will discover those as you go along. Okay, so let's just make a basic recipe. A whole lot of soft things and a lot of yellow, a lot of mushrooms and a little red. I actually don't really like this method. I know it's supposed to be quirky and a bit of fun, but I find it quite annoying, to be completely honest. So I'm going to put a whole lot of yellow in. I know it requires at least 4 yellow and then anything else. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to get all the yellows in, and I want to get a few abras so I can level up my abra. And I'll just start cooking. And yes. And then when you start cooking, you have a number above the pot. And this isn't time based. This is a number of how many expeditions it will be cooking for. So to get this pot finished, you can rush it, which obviously, like a lot of games, you can rush things using a currency. Or I can go and do 2 expeditions and that pot will be ready, which is essentially your best way of doing it. Let's press on the other one to see what Pokemon come. And this is a red stew Cube. So I chose a yellow and a red this time. And let's see what Pokemon come out. Oh, 2 again, which is great. Usually you get 1, you've got a chance of 2. And I got a Porygon, which is something that I have been waiting to get. So I'm very happy about that. And I got a Slowpoke, sorry, not Slowbro, Slowpoke. Good old Porygon. What Porygons? Oh, he's got a Psybeam and a Tri-Attack. Now the moves are kind of interchangeable. So what I mean by that is, and this kind of moves us into the next element of the video, your Pokemon have the ability to be different based on how you want them. Okay, so there is a training facility, and if I go back into editing, okay, so you see all the Pokemon in the box to my right. These are all my different Pokemon here. And there's my Slowpoke and Porygon, okay? So if I wanted, let's say I wanted Psybeam with Wartortle, I can try and do that. So there's actually a training button on the right, and there's two types of training, and this is key to the game. And I think farming with the right recipes, and I think using your lower level Pokemon to your advantage is all a good thing. But it's probably how the game is supposed to be played. So on the left is a level up training, and essentially I would put the Pokemon that I wanted to level, and I would put any of my lower level Pokemon that I'm not interested in leveling down here. And you'll see the experience bar go up based on what level and strength that other Pokemon is. If I put a level 30 Pokemon in there, it'll instantly give me half a level there. I'm not going to do that, obviously. Now, move learning is very different. So I actually have a couple of moves filled in there, but if I don't like a certain move, so say for example I think this first move is trash, and then I want to learn, let's say I want to learn Psybeam, I could put Porygon in there, and that gives me a 32% success rate to learn something. Can't say what it is that I'm going to learn, but that's how it works. I haven't actually tried this facility properly yet. So the Pokemons that you throw down the bottom here, any of the Pokemon down there, doesn't matter which way, if it's a level or a move learning, the bottom Pokemon will be gone once you use this process. So I'm obviously not going to do that right now, but that's how that goes. Okay, but what I will do is I'll show you. Have I got two Pikachus? I'm sure I do. Okay, so if I put my higher level Pikachu here, you get a little bit of a bonus if you put the same Pokemon. I think the same type also gives you a small bonus. But that took Pikachu from the very beginning of level 13 to almost level 14 just from having a little level 5 thrown in there. And essentially that's kind of the way you really want to do it. And then you just start training, yes, get rid of that lower level. He runs and knocks the other one out. And then I got a little bit of extra XP. And that's how the training system works. Alright, so let's look at some of the other parts to this mobile app, which we know all free-to-play mobile apps have purchases, and I just want to run through what's available. And is it pay to win? Is it all based on fairness? Is it all that kind of stuff? So because the game is so new, when I first opened this app, it had purchases for beginners and for people who are starting off with on major discounts. And I kind of picked up a couple of things really cheap, if not free. But essentially on the top right hand corner, you've got your currency. They call those PM tickets. This is the currency that you can exchange for real life money, but you can also earn these on a daily basis. So right now in the Pokemart, that's what they call the store, you'll see a timer, which is 1 hour and 33 minutes remaining. And this is essentially a 24-hour timer that allows you to collect free member service PM tickets currency. Now the number can go up, and I'll explain why, but the best way to play this game is to have strong decorations. Now when you finish a world, and you finish the boss of that world, you'll get a decoration, and it'll give you statistics. So let's talk about these statistics here. So if I chose, let's say this $7.99 expedition pack, you'll see in the picture that it's got a cooking pot, it's got 3 little statues there, and it's got a little box that says bonus, and I think that's 2 different Pokemon and 100 PM tickets. If I go more into it, it's got all of these labeled here. So let's say for example, so the left hand side, number 1 is a pot, and says the number of dishes that you can cook at a time +1. So those 4 spaces back at the base, at the camp, they will hold pots, and I think you can have up to 4 pots at a time. I've currently got 2, and this will give me a third one if I bought it. Okay, the second one says PM tickets that you receive as a service for members plus 20, and this is where it gets really interesting. The whole pay to win thing, or pay for convenience, or pay for time, all that kind of thing. You know, it obviously gets blurry for some people. I'm not going to give my exact opinion on how I feel it is, but I do very strongly feel that the only reason why a business will create a game is so that they can make money. And if they're releasing it for free so that everyone can get a taste, then they need to have the ability to earn money and make back what it is that they spent, and obviously try and be profitable as well. So I can understand that there's microtransactions. Everything is around microtransactions, even console games and PC games, not just mobile games. But you know, people tend to argue that if you're not spending your money, that the game can be unplayable. And I think in this situation, it's not the case. It'll just take, you know, a little bit longer or a little bit less convenient. But I think everyone has their own opinion on it, and I think you can decide. You can tell me in the comments section if you think it's a pay to win. So number 3 here is maximum battery charges plus 1, and that's what the statue gives. A, B, and C is just different levels, and it says with the special move, so I'm guessing they give you a good move with those particular Pokemon. And C says your PM tickets plus 100. So you can buy the tickets, you can buy packs with these things, and some of the packs will also have stones, and this is the same stone that I had before, the broad burst stone, and that changes the range of a move, and it expands it by 1. And this also comes with 100 PM tickets, and that's $4.49 Australian just for that. And yes, if I had all the best move stones possible, then yes, my Pokemon will be stronger. Or if I continue to farm, eventually I will have the stones that I want as well. So to me, that spending the money is more of a convenience thing, and it's probably good for those people who have less time to sink into the game, but I don't see it as game breaking, and I certainly don't see it as pay to win. Moving into the decorations, you can just spend these PM tickets on the decorations alone. So the little cheap packs that I picked up in the very, very beginning of the game, with things like this, maximum battery charge plus 1, and your battery charge is essentially your energy that you're spending to go through the stages. Chance of attracting multiple Pokemon times 2, and that's probably why you saw that I was getting 2 Pokemon at a time, because I've doubled my chances with that statue, and they all do different things. And you can get the cheap ones like this. The size of the yellow ingredient drops 1.5. I was having trouble getting honey, and I added this for 50 PM tickets to my base, and I'm starting to see more honey drop, which is really helpful. And of course your box expansions. Now these purchases I think will be a necessity, but lucky they're only 50 at a time, and I think as you progress through the game and as you pick up your freebies every single day, you'll have more than enough to be able to do this when you need to, as long as you hold on to your currency rather than just willy-nilly spend it. Now I do think this game would benefit if they had more cosmetic stuff available in the market, so that people who are spending money, it's not all about, you know, making your game more versatile to your needs, but you know, I also think that the PM tickets are achievable and they're gainable. The other way you can see yourself getting more PM tickets and some stones and things like that is here in the quest section. You can see the little exclamation mark popping up, and you've got quests, which are main quests, and you've got challenges. Now right now it says normal type buddies. If I press on it, it says make 10 normal type buddies, which I have done. Now I'm going to receive 5 bar mushrooms, but I have received tickets a lot through these missions, and yeah, this will give you 5 PM tickets if I do move learn training. So if I decide to train a move to one of my Pokemon, then I will receive 5 PM tickets for that. And there's a whole list of things that you can accomplish and gain from it. The challenges are quite good, and they go up different tiers as you go. Obviously you'll get better and better rewards as you go as well. So there you have it. Now, is this game to autoplay? Let me know in the comment section what you think. What I think is that, you know, when you're on the difficult stages and you know, it requires a little bit more attention, then yes, you will play the game manually, especially if you want success. And when you're farming, rather than the boredom of having to press the moves every single time you think it's necessary because the stage is so easy already, then having the auto feature I think is handy as well, and it prevents people from getting over the fuss of the grind faster, and I think it'll keep people enticed into the game a little bit longer as well. So this has been Pokemon Quest. Let me know if you're playing Pokemon Quest, and talk to me about some of your experiences in finding Pokemon. You just saw me get a Porygon through a red recipe, and hopefully I want to see you guys get rarer Pokemon as well. Till next time, see you later.